Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar, How to Optimize Your Pittcon Virtual Booth. I'm Miranda Flam, the Marketing Coordinator here at Pittcon. Stephanie Chrisman, Pittcon's Expo Coordinator, is also on here as well. I just want to take a moment and thank all of you for taking the time to tune in today. This webinar is about creating a virtual booth that captivates the attention of your target audience and how to compel your audience to interact with your content and booth staff. I am going to turn it over to Jefferson Davis, the president of Competitive Edge and one of America's leading experts on B2B marketing, sales, and exhibiting success.
All right. Thank you, Miranda, Stephanie, Rocco, Tammy, the entire team at Pittcon. As I mentioned, it's always an honor to work with show organizers who care enough about their exhibitors to not just rent them space or pull them into the virtual world and not give them guidance on how to do it. So you are doing this the right way. And I hope all the exhibitors on board with us today appreciate the extra effort that we're putting in, because we know this is new to most of us, all of us, right? So in our first webinar, if you missed that, we did a webinar on how virtual exhibiting can help your company during a crisis. And we really talked about the importance of keeping your marketing activity out there during a crisis, some of the things that make virtual exhibiting unique and different, and what Pittcon's plan was to drive traffic. And we also gave you a jump start on pre-event planning. If you did not watch that webinar, it is accessible on the Pittcon website. If you are not contracted for the Pittcon Expo and you need a little extra support or ammunition to share with your boss, there's a lot of it on that webinar. So my background, I've been in trade shows what feels like my whole life. Got tossed into my first trade show many years ago. And I'm the kind of person that is always trying to figure out, how do we get results? I've never viewed exhibiting as a place to fly the company flag, hand out some tchotchkes, and go home. I've always viewed it as a big investment of human and financial capital, and I'm trying to make it visibly support core business objectives and deliver measurable financial value beyond cost. To that end, with the clients I've worked with, we've been able to trace over $800 million in combined results from trade shows. So if there's one thing I know trade shows work if you see them properly and you execute them properly. Now, this virtual opens up a whole new realm for us. Last year in April, took a deep dive into virtual. I started identifying the different virtual platforms that existed. I was looking at what the exhibitor-facing functionality was, and I got together with my team of trade show experts, and what we wanted to identify were the critical success factors, right? What are the 20% of activities that are going to generate 80% of the value in the virtual world? And today's topic is one of those critical success factors. It's how to optimize your virtual exhibit. So let's do a quick recap just to get everybody dialed in on the same page here. Virtual events are different, a whole lot different than live. The first thing is we just don't have as much control over how much time the attendee spends at the virtual event. When they fly into Pittcon Live, we pretty much have them, right? They go to the convention center, the meeting rooms, the hotel, the restaurants, the bars. Well, it's a little different now. They're sitting at home and they're on their computers, so we don't have as much control. The distraction level when people are sheltering in place, which many still are, and working at home with spouses and children, it's amplified 10x, right? So we got to make sure that everything Pittcon's doing and everything you're doing, right, is captivating and grabbing their attention and holding them for as long as you can. Please write this one down. If there's one massive takeaway from how virtual events are different, this is it. The attendees are not walking into a virtual exhibit hall and strolling up and down every booth and falling into booths at random. This is a very intentional space. So your ability first to create an experience worthy of their time, and then second, promote to the right people before and during the event. That's going to determine your success. And today, we're going to focus on really how to optimize your virtual experience. In the next webinar, which we're going to do in the first week of February, that will be February 9th, actually. That'll be on driving traffic and interacting with virtual visitors. So make sure to put that on your calendar, February 9th. Okay, but remember this, key distinction. If you're going to win this game, right, this is not all about just putting your content up into your virtual booth and hoping that people stumble into it. It's not going to happen that way, right? Now that we've done hundreds of virtual events over the last year, we've really come to understand that is a critical distinction. Content marketing, what you put up and how you market to get people to consume it. Calendaring, meaning using scheduled meetings, scheduled demos, and rich media, making sure your videos and all the content you put up there are really rich, right? These are the three big things that you've got to deal with. Content marketing, calendaring, which is getting on people's agenda a set day at a set time as much as possible. Please pay attention to this one. If there's nothing else that you get out of today, and I'm sure you're going to get a whole lot more, this one is a game changer. Write these three words down. Less is more in the virtual world. Okay, a lot of you, I've been at Pittcon for a couple years. A lot of you have a lot of products, a lot of services. Here's the thing. If you have multiple solutions, don't try to promote them all. Select 1 to 3 and use these as your featured solutions, your featured products, your featured services. Leave everything else at home. You can cross-sell anything once you have the customer. But if you come into the virtual world and you overload with too many options, you're going to confuse them and they're going to click out. So here's the hierarchy in terms of what to bring and what to feature in your Pittcon virtual exhibit. If it's new, lead with it. That holds true in the live exhibiting world, and it holds true in the virtual world. New is a magnet, right? So if you got something new, that is your lead, your hook, your feature product. Next, which of your products or services are trending, are hot, are addressing a top-of-the-mind issue or concern that your audience is grappling with right now, right? That's your hook, right? And third would be, if you're like most companies and you have multiple product services, 80% of your revenue is probably coming from 20% of your products or services. We call those your bread and butter or your pillar products. Feature those. Leave everything else at home. So the first two things that I want you to take away from today, lock these, burn these into your mind. As attendees are not walking up and down the virtual exhibit hall and falling into booths at random. And two, less is more. What you need out of all your product services is your hook, your showstopper. What is that? Again, you can cross-sell anything, but narrow it down. Be laser focused here. Okay, so let's start peeling the onion here. Today is about optimizing. And by the way, I want to stress this as we begin. This is not a technical training webinar, meaning, the bits, bytes, and bods of the LabRoot platform, all the intricacies. A lot of that detail is included in your booth grid. Today is a strategic level training on the functionality and how to optimize functionality. So keep that top of the mind as we go through today. Now, the first thing I think it's really important for us as exhibitors is to understand the virtual attendees journey, right? What happens, how they get here and how they find you. So the first thing that happens is they pre-register for the event through Pittcon, and then they receive individual login credentials. These login credentials have a lot of data attached to them that when they visit your booth, you automatically capture, which we're going to talk more about in our next webinar. But just know there's a lot of information embedded in that. So then what you're looking at here is the lobby screen, right? So the visitor enters, so the first kind of a mock-up, a draft of what they see when they enter the exposition. They're in the lobby, okay? So you'll notice on the left, there's an orange right at the top, like these meter boards in a live exhibit hall. Exposition, right at the top, that red. They click that, they are into the exhibit hall. The other way they can get into the exposition is on the bottom. You'll see the blue tabs where it says lobby and then it says exposition. So when they click exposition, they can enter the exhibit hall that way too. Okay. Now, the way they find exhibitors, right, is the sponsors. If you're a Pittcon sponsor, you are featured in the lobby on the meter board on the right on the top says Pittcon sponsors. So if you're a sponsor, you get extra visibility right on the point of entry. Beyond that, when they click and enter into the virtual exposition, they can quickly search for you by company name, by product or service name, or by category. So these are the three ways they find you. So what you want to do in your pre-marketing, which we're going to talk about on the next webinar, is make sure that you tell your visitors exactly how to find you, right? You don't want to have them to get in here and have to kind of drift around and figure it out on their own. Tell them exactly how to find you. Hey, when you visit the lobby, click exposition, and as soon as you hit the company name, type this, or product, however you want to say that. All right, let's keep rolling. Let's get into the functionality of your virtual booth. Here's an image. This is the same image that is in your booth grid forms that you receive. So what I want to do is kind of highlight these different functions. And after this, I'm going to focus on the most important functions here and give you some guidance on how to optimize those functions. Okay, the standard, right, everybody has up on the left is the booth navigation, the name of the booth, your social media handles, and your click here to chat with a rep, right? Those are standard. There's not really much customization there, but that's just where they go. When they click on navigation, it'll take them alphabetically to the next booth, right? Social media, you'll want to figure out which of your social media platforms that you want to attach to your virtual exhibit. And for your booth rep chat, I'm going to talk more about that in the next session, but I think if this only goes to one person booth rep chat, you're going to want to have similar to a booth host or a guide to direct them to the right person. Okay, so we'll talk more about that deeper on the next session. Okay, now if you are a tier 2, 3, or 4 exhibitor, in the white space where that number 1 circle is, there's a booth introduction video. Okay, you're going to want to design that video to do some certain things. Okay, next, number 2, your booth logo, you see it goes down here on the counter. You see the people there, number 2. Large screen. This is visually the most dominant element in your booth. So we're going to talk exactly what to do with that large screen to make sure that it does the work it should do. Then your small screens to the right. You'll see that there are 2 small screens in tier 1 and 2, and tiers 3 and 4 have a additional small screen, so they'll have 3. Now notice the placement of these small screens. They're to the right of the large screen. And that's good because that's kind of the way people read, and they look at something, they read from right to left. So you'll see how you can use your large screen to point them to the small screens and really design the visitor journey through your virtual booth. Your information kiosks, number 5. Okay, I believe tier 1 booths have 1 kiosk. Some of the other tiers have 2 kiosks. In those kiosks, you have 4 line items, which you have the ability to customize these tabs that we'll talk about in a moment. And then you can add links or documents under those tabs. And we're going to get really talk about optimizing that. Number 6 is these red circles. LabRoots calls them Lollipop Stands or CTAs, which are call to actions. So you have up to 5 of those in a tier 1 booth. You have 2, and then you add 1 additional as you go up in tiers. Your avatars, number 4. Avatars are the pictures, if you will, of people. You have the ability to customize those avatars by selecting from, I believe there's 80 images in the booth grid you can select from. And you also have the ability to do a customized avatar, which would physically be your staff. So that's pretty cool too, right? Number 8, look over to the left there on the bottom, you'll see these stands, if you will. You have the ability to put images of your products or your instruments on these stands. So if you are going to feature physical products or instruments, that is a really nice way to personalize the booth. And in tiers 3 and 4, number 9, you have the red pull-up banner, which could be used as a call to action, messaging, whatever you want to do with that. And then your specialty items, number 10, you'll see the balloons, the dog, the beach ball. You have these little specialty items you can do to add additional visual interest to your booth. Where I'm going to focus on for the rest of the webinar are the items in green here, which are going to be the introduction large screen video, what to do with these small screens, what to do with these information kiosks, these lollipop stands, and these product instruments. Okay. Now, your success, right, is really going to come down to how well you customize and utilize the key functions of your virtual booth. So let's get into your large screen. And by the way, if you're a tier 1 exhibitor, this is your large screen. If you're a tier 2, 3, or 4, you have that introduction video. So you'll have the ability to do a similar thing depending on which booth you're in. Okay, that booth introduction video on the top, which would go above this large screen, is only available in tiers 2, 3, and 4. But if you don't have that in tier 1, don't worry about it because you have your most compelling element, which is that large screen. Okay, now this screen can be a video or it can be an image with audio. So you could have an image file with audio attached to it. I'm going to make a strong recommendation that you go with video, right? It's much more compelling and people are more attuned to watch a short video than just look at a static image and listen to audio. Okay. Now, you have another option to make in your booth grid builder. It can autoplay on the first entry, meaning the first time they come in your booth, it auto plays, or it can be click action, right, where they have to click on it to make it play, or it can do both, meaning that the first time they hit it, it'll play. The second time, they'll have to click. I would suggest you go both, that you have it autoplay on first entry and click action thereafter. Okay. This is, again, if you go back and look at your exhibit in terms of scale and size, the large video screen is dominant visual element. So this is where the first thing that you got to get right is this large screen video. Okay. Now, let me define what I believe to be the purpose of that video content. It's one singular purpose. It's not to tell the whole story. It's not to get deep in the woods. It's to get them to want to interact with additional content in your booth and engage your staff, right? So the way you use that video is very similar to a commercial with a call to action to have them take the next logical step in your booth. So your video content could include, right out of the gate, right? What's a problem that they're struggling with? What's a project they might be working on that relates to what you do? Or what's a goal that they may be trying to achieve? Problem, project, or goal. That will create immediate relevance in the viewer's mind, and it will create importance. Remember this, relevance gets you noticed, importance gets you engagement, right? So you could lead off with that big problem. Then you could very quickly, in a sentence or two, discuss the impact and or the implications of solving or achieving. Okay. Then the promise that you're going to give them ideas and solutions on how to solve this by interacting with your people and your content in your booth, and then you're going to tell them exactly what you want them to do next. Okay. So that's what you want to do with that video. That video, you don't want that to be too long. 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. You can get a lot done in 2 minutes if you got it right. Hey, struggling with this, worried about that, tired about this, trying to achieve this, right? That's your opener. Okay. It's important that you get this right, because if you do, your business will experience this. If you don't, you're going to have this problem. Hey, take the journey through our booth, right? Watch our solution video, chat, schedule a meeting with our staff, download our documents, right? Tell them exactly what you want them to do, and you're going to find answers. You're going to find solutions to your problem by moving around through the booth. Okay. Now, the next thing, okay, remember I said the large screen is kind of like the commercial. So now these small screens to the right, and again, basic tier 1 has 2, tiers 2 through 4 have 3. Okay. This should be the next step in the visitor's journey through your booth, because you can literally design your video then at the end of your large screen video. It can have an arrow that points them right to these 3 screens on the side. So what I would suggest you do with these small screens is, remember we said narrow down your solutions to your top 1 to 3? I would feature those solutions on, like if I'm a tier 1 booth, I'm going to feature 2 solutions, 1 and 2. That's it. And if I'm a tier 2 to 4, I'm going to feature 3. And so now each one of these screens is going to have content relative to my solutions. These also could be a static image or an animated GIF, like an image that has motion. You could go that route if you feel like you want to. I would again encourage you video. Video is the most powerful communication media there is. That's the reason why YouTube now is the highest visited website in the world. YouTube. Why? Because people will watch video, especially when it's relevant and it's important and it's brief. Can't be too long, right? So now when people go click on these screens, and they do have to click these screens to activate, there's 1 of 3 things that can happen there. It can open a video, it can go to a URL, or it could go to a PDF. Because you have the ability to go to URL and PDF in your information kiosks, I would strongly encourage you to use videos here. That way you've got your big video, and then you've got your drill down videos. Then I would take them to, the information kiosk, which we'll talk about. So when you develop your product or your service video content here, you're going to want to use a formula: hook, story, close. So if I'm featuring a singular solution on that top screen, number 4, I'm going to lead that video. And by the way, we'll also have, let me save that for a moment. I'm going to talk about titling in a moment. But I'm going to open that with a question, an open-ended question that is centered around the problem or the benefit that we're trying to deliver. Then my story in that is going to be, I'm going to present 3, very quick, the 3 most important features and benefits that I'm trying to communicate. 1, 2, 3. Right? Here's what I'm telling you. Here's what it means. Number 2, here's what I'm telling you. Here's what it means. Number 3, here's what I'm telling you. Here's what it means. And then I'm going to close this video again with a clear call to action on what I want them to do next. Now, you could send them right to your information kiosk to see our top 10 FAQs in our kiosk, download our product service brochure. What I want them to do, and I think you want them to do, first and foremost, is to engage and chat with your staff. Okay, so me personally, I'm going to try to slant this to go, hey, now's the perfect time to talk with our expert staff about your questions, challenges around this product. Click here to do. And after you've talked with them, they will guide you on which documents and what content to consume. Okay, so you can see what you're doing here is you're literally storyboarding, and you're not letting the visitor stumble around in your booth and randomly click on anything. You're guiding them thoughtfully, strategically, right? Now, there are other potential uses that if you're going to do video here, maybe you only have one product. I think customer interviews are always powerful. Maybe, if you did have two screens and you only had one product, you might have the hook story close video on the top, and then you might have the see what our customers are saying, and have 3 or 4 or 5 customers that you've got on video there. Might be a good place to have a video where meet our team, quickly introduce your key players. Maybe you've got some form of a unique production or manufacturing process that giving them a fly on the wall view walkthrough of your factory in a minute and a half, maybe that would be something cool to do. You could do white papers, you could do case studies here, but I feel like these screens are going to be better served for video than just linking to something, because again, you're going to have them linked to that in your information kiosk. Okay, now let's talk about video content. Some best practices to optimize your video content. Okay, so number one, keep it short. Right, 3 minutes, 7 and 7 on the long end. If it's possible, on the screen, the title screen, to show the video length, 1 minute and 42 seconds, whatever it is. That's helpful, because a lot of people are leery about clicking on a video and they have no idea how long the video is, right? I had that happen to me this week. I was working out and I was watching a video that I was very interested in the topic. And they said, hey, in just 90 seconds, right, watch this 90-second video. I was 38 minutes into it and I still didn't get to what I wanted to get to. I finally I turned off the video and I walked away. So keep it short. And if you have the ability to have that shows them video length on the title screen, have it there. Very helpful. The title. Nobody watches the movie unless they know the title. I'll bet none of you have fallen into a movie theater lately. You haven't been able to with the virus, right? And just walked into any of the, without even knowing what's showing. Write a compelling title on there that makes them want to, the 3 most important things, the 3 biggest mistakes, right? Whatever it is, spend time on the title. In books, they always say the title sells the book. The title sells the view of your videos too. So title each of your videos, right? When you get into the video content, don't just have a talking head, right? Or don't just have instruments in someone's hand. Use subtitles and captions. You want them to hear it and see it, not just hear it, not just see it. Okay, next, people. One of the fastest ways to increase how long they view your videos are to have people in the video, because at the end of the day, people are people watchers. Like if I'm going to do something with an instrument, I'm not only going to have the instrument there like on a pedestal rotating, I'm going to have it in someone's hand, and you're going to have it zone in between seeing their face and seeing the instrument, seeing their face. People are people watchers. Always, on every one of these videos, end it with a crystal clear call to action. Now that you've watched this video, go to the left and click and chat with our expert technical staff, right? Tell them exactly what you want them to do verbally, but also use it with your captions too, right? So there's some practices for putting together. Now, please know this, your videos do not have to be broadcast quality production. With YouTube, everybody's used to, people walking around with cell phones with videos. Make it as good as you can make it, but don't freak out and don't go, I got to spend $15,000 on creating these videos. You probably don't. What you do need to do is have substance over style. If you have a cute video, funny, that someone watches, they click out, and they don't even remember what you did, like, 90% of the Super Bowl commercials. People laugh at them, and then who is that company? I have no idea. Don't do that, right? So have that clear call to action at the end, telling them what you want to do. So literally script out your videos and then figure out what imagery, what would best do it. Record them, take a peek, and fire away. Okay. And within your product story or your service story videos, the Hook, story, close model. That's what you want to use to script your content. Grab their attention with that opening hook, a statement of the problem, a question. The story is the very quick, what we're talking about, the application, the three most important things that you need to know about it, and your close is your call to action, what you want them to do next. Okay? All right, so now we've talked video. You're going to have your large screen, which ideally will pull them over to your small screens. After your small screens, your information kiosk. We're going to talk staffing on the next webinar on getting your staff prepared and interacting using chat. So what I want to jump to now is your information kiosk here. Okay, you'll notice you have, depending on your booth size, you have 1 or 2 kiosks. And you have these 4 line items. Each line item, the copy or the text can be edited. This one says about us, literature, web links, and boy, that's kind of fuzzy there. Videos, I'm sorry. So here's the thing now. When you click on any one of these bars, you can upload up to 20 items per bar. That means you could have up to 80 content things here. My advice, I would get nowhere near 80. Less is more in the virtual space, right? If someone clicks there and they see 20 things, they're not going to know what to do. Keep it simple. Keep it simple, right? Know exactly what content you want to deliver, in what order you want to deliver it in, and do not overload it. This platform gives you the ability to completely overload if you choose to. Thing I've learned so far, I've been involved in 14 virtual expositions live. Everything that I've learned tells me less is more. Do not overload. Do not overwhelm. I suggest, similar to this one here, that you lead, that your top item be your about us, right? Especially if you're trying to bring in new customers who may not be super familiar with you. And you could do that with copy, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. You have 2,000 characters, or you could do it with a video. It could be the president of your company saying, hey, I'm Jefferson Davis here, the president of Competitive Edge. I want to thank you for visiting our virtual exhibit. What we do is, what we're known for is, what makes us different is. And by the way, those are the 3 elements of your company story: what we do, what we're known for, and what makes us different, right? Now, your additional content, things that you could do, certainly your featured product or services, you're going to want to have them the ability to grab brochures or documents. I think FAQ for each one of your featured solutions is a really smart play. What are the top 5 to 10 questions you get hit with over and over and over about each of those solutions? Get it in writing and or video. If you have any form of scientific data, white papers, case studies, if you have checklists they can take back to the lab and use, if there's news releases, article reprints, if you've won awards, if you are comfortable having your client list out there for third-party validation, if you have testimonials, all of these would be good things to consider uploading under the proper categories. Again, if you're going to do a literature format, then your PDFs will go there. If you're going to have videos, if you want to do some of this in video, you'll put your video under there. And if you want to send them to web links, external web links, send them there. Key point on documents. Take a look at what specific content you're going to upload. And a mistake I've seen so far is companies having their documents in Word docs, PowerPoints, spreadsheets, maybe things that can be edited. Unless you want the attendee to edit it, make sure that you don't have a editable document up there. And second, here's a big one. You may have certain information that is proprietary that you don't want to fall into your competitors' hands, or honestly, you don't want even a prospective customer to see it until they're at a certain stage in the buying process. Then you could have a link, but then you could ask them to either talk with your staff or fill out this quick web form to be able to capture this document. That way it'll help you kind of know who captured what, and it'll protect your sensitive documents. Okay? All right, let's keep on rolling here. Remember we said about us copy, which is a lot of the virtual platforms I've worked in so far, one of the first things that the attendee sees when they scroll over the exhibitor name or they click on the exhibitor logo is it'll be a description, right? Uh, in this case, I'm not sure if they see it prior to entering your booth, but if they do, you certainly got to make sure that you get this right. And even so, you got to get it right either way. So if it's a text, the About Us, which you have the ability, you have 2,000 characters, and that includes spaces. So you're going to want to use your word, you're going to want to talk it out, and you're going to want to character check it and make it as pithy and as solid as it can be. It's important to write this a little differently than you would for a live exhibition. Remember, the goal of them reading this is, oh, I got to learn more about this company, right? And what they do. And I want to engage with their staff, their content. I want to watch their videos. So you got to write this description a little differently. Again, think about the problems that you help them solve. What can you teach them in your virtual exhibit? You know, attendees come to these events to learn. The Pittcon audience is a very scientific audience who's coming for technical information and they want to learn. So make sure you talk about learning. And your company description, as I mentioned before, at a high level should hit 3 points: what we do, who we serve, and what makes you different, right? And then finally, again, the call to action. Every single touch point in your virtual booth, always have them a what to do next, right? Unless it is the final step in the customer journey and you've already done it. Okay. Here's an example. I want to show you, this is from an actual event we were on earlier, late last year. This company was exhibiting, and this is how they wrote their company description. Boy, it's a lot of words. There's no breaks. You know, we do this. Our approach does this. I'm losing interest here about sentence 2 into this. So how would they maybe rewrite this? Well, number one, they would lead with their hook. Remember we said hook, story, close? Can you imagine having the most secure data in the cloud right now? Yeah, I have issues with security. Yeah, you got me, right? With Extra Hop you can. Watch our videos, chat with our experts, learn more. Why? Boom. Value proposition, learn more now. Okay, so it's a great kind of way to think about how to write that company description. And by the way, this model could serve you possibly in your video scripting, because I'm really using the hook, story, close model throughout almost all of the content that we're developing. Okay, 2 important documents. Now, there are many documents, and I gave you a laundry list of stuff you might upload before, but here are 2 that I think are almost must-dos. The first one is your one-page overview, right, that quickly says who you are, who you serve, what your core product services are, your value proposition, your brand promise, right, and what makes you different and better, and how to engage or contact us. That's a must-do document. It does one page, hit these 5 points, and you'll be hitting all the big rocks and not giving them too much information in your quick read one-page overview. The second one, listen very carefully to this. Okay, your potential customers are not experts on evaluating and buying your type of product or service. In fact, they're very fearful. They're fearful of making the wrong decision. If you will take the time and move yourself from a seller to a co-buyer, write that phrase down, co-buyer position, and give them a list of the primary questions they should be asking and answering as they evaluate your type of product or service. This will separate you from the pack. This will help you build trust. This will help them feel like they're making a well-informed, safe, and prudent buying decision. And key, if there's some key point of differentiation that you offer that becomes part of the buying criteria and it's built into your questions, you'll preempt your competition. You'll make yourself appear to be the only best, safe, prudent, logical choice. So you'll want to make this 3 columns, right? You'll have the questions on the left in the natural flow, and you'll have 3 answer columns. go ahead and fill in the answers for your offering. Then leave the next two blank. Most business buyers, when they're looking for a new product, service, solution partner, they shortlist, and they typically shortlist to 3 potential vendors. So make their life easier, give them the questions that they should be asking, fill in your answers, and leave space for them to compare to others. And again, if you really want to slant this document, find that one key point of differentiation that none of your competitors have and make that one of the questions. It's an extremely powerful document. Okay, next, your Lollipop Stands or your call to actions. You can see, you've got these, you have 2 of them in the tier 1 booth and up to 5 of them based on your tier size. Because they're circular and red, they draw the eye. They're very much almost like a stop sign, right? When you unconsciously notice stop signs, right? Maybe every now and then you miss one. Hopefully not. But they draw the eye. Now, again, when they click here, 2 things can happen. It can open a URL, so you can take them to a web page or a landing page or a video or whatever, or a PDF, right? So you're going to want to think about, what do you do? For me, I want this to be interactive. I want my Lollipop Stands to be a place where they have deeper engagement more than just like looking at a PDF. Again, I can put PDFs anywhere, but I'm not sure that, to me, I don't think it's the best use of your Lollipop Stand. Schedule a meeting, a great place to call to action. Okay, in the next webinar, we're going to get into this whole process of meetings and chats and all that. But maybe you're using like Calendly or one of these calendaring, and maybe you're going to use something like that. And maybe the meeting's going to happen outside of the virtual exhibit on Zoom or GoToWebinar or whatever you might, or GoToMeeting or Microsoft Teams or Blue Jeans or whatever. Show specials, definitely a great place to plug show specials. Surveys, polls, research. Maybe you're going to do a quick 5 trend survey, needs assessment survey. Very smart use of this, whether it's internal or I use SurveyMonkey myself for this type of stuff. And it gives me the ability to capture more data than just what's embedded in the visitor's e-badge when they visit your booth. Or maybe I want to do a trend, or maybe I want to get feedback on something, right? If you have any form of contests, win a prize or grab this giveaway or that, this could be a great place to have them go and have a form pop up. Now, I would suggest if you are using contests, or even if you're going to say, hey, grab your free prize here, that I would not only ask for basic contact information, but I would ask maybe 1 to 3 qualifying questions with that. So it's not just to enter to win, but also you can look at and see who entered, and that'll give you another source of capturing a lead. Maybe you're going to send them to a landing page. Maybe you are doing webinars outside of the meeting. Maybe you're going to take them to a exclusive or dedicated web page, which you could do here. Okay. So use these well. Be very thoughtful. Think about. Don't over replicate. See, the problem with all these resources in here is that you can replicate stuff and not really take full advantage. You're designing this like a map. You know, watch the large screen, watch the small screen, chat with the staff, go to the information kiosk, go to the Lollipop. Maybe that's your 5-step journey through your booth, right? And you're pulling them by design from one interaction to another. The additional features, the rep avatars, let me see, I don't have at my fingertips the number of images. These are your booth staff, but there are 80 standard avatar rep images that are in your grid. You can kind of click the one you want, they'll put it in. If you're going to have more than one, just today, be sensitive diversity, whether it's male, female, race, whatever. Good idea to mix it up, People seem to be paying attention to that, so watch that. Customizable rep avatars are super cool because you can have your stuff, right? You can literally put your people in the booth, and it's not that hard to do. I would certainly use my own people before I used a standard rep avatar. Why not? Put your own faces in there. Your instrument images, again, that's going to add more visual interest to the booth. So you'll definitely want to, if you're featuring products, have an image of the instrument, which would be setting on the pedestal. The table or pedestals, I believe you can also swap out those images with small monitors. I'm not sure why I would need the monitor if I used it up top, but look into both. Your table or your pedestals will give you, your 1 to 3 product solutions, and your specialty items. Again, they just add visual interest to the booth. My personal opinion, there's so much going on in the booth. I'm not sure I need a lot of, additional items. I don't really need attention grabbers because they're already in my booth, I guess is what I'm saying here. They're already in it, right? It's not like a trade show live where they're walking down the aisle and you have this, this pen with puppies in it, and people come running, right, because of the puppies, right? So think about your specialty items. Personal feeling, I wouldn't overuse them. There's already a lot going on visually in these booths. Less is more. Your pull-up banner in your tier 3 and 4 booths, that's a really strong visual element. So whatever your big next step that you want them to take as a result of visiting your booth, I would put it on that pull-up banner. That would, let's say maybe you're doing a webinar next week after the event on some certain topic. Maybe the pull-up banner is going to be the place where you promote that. So the cool thing is with the Lab Roots exhibit, you have so much flexibility, so much customization. Keep it simple, right? Go back to the kind of the flow. Leverage the large screen. Feature your top 1 to 3 solutions on the small screens. Pull them from the small screen to chat, interact with your staff. Have your staff push them to the information kiosks to interact with the right content. And then the final step, the lollipops, that's really the flow through your booth. So the challenge is for each one of you now to think, who is my ideal visitor and what do I want them to see, learn, do, and get? See, learn, do, and get as a result of visiting my booth, and design the experience based on see, learn, do, and get. You have all the resources at your hands to do this now. Okay, so let's summarize this up and go to Q&A. I know I've hit you with a lot here. We are recording this session. It will be available for unlimited replay viewing. And we have one more coming up on driving people to your virtual exhibit and preparing your staff to engage in the virtual space. So, number one, remember this. They don't walk the aisles end to end and fall into booths at random. This is not a live exhibit. Number two, your content marketing, calendaring, and rich media are going to be critical to your success. Number three, don't feature everything. 1 to 3 lead items. Leave everything else at home. Think about and design your visitor flow through your booth. You don't want them to look at your booth and go, now what, right? And you have the power to control that by using all of your properties in the proper sequence. That large screen video, that is your dominant visual element. Get that part right. Remember, that part sells them on, hey, thanks for visiting. If you're dealing with this or that, you're going to learn this or that. Take the next step in our booth, right? That large screen. Your smaller screens are going to be your actual start peeling the onion on your different solutions. You want them to chat with your rep next, your technical staff, your experts. And we're going to give you a lot of detail in the next webinar on selecting and preparing your team and who to feature and how to focus. And then the information kiosk. And don't overload those information kiosks. Okay. Those lollipops, again, are your interactive devices. Make sure that you really make that. That's probably going to be the last place you want them to stop before they leave your virtual booth. So you should have received from Pittcon a booth grid. When you do receive that, you have 2 weeks to complete the booth grid and submit it to Lab Roots. Okay. After that, you'll have 2 review periods between now and Pittcon to make corrections and do minor updates. So my suggestion would be, if you haven't started your booth grid builder, use this webinar and use this content side by side to select what you're going to feature and what messages you're going to do in video, what you're going to do in chat, what you're going to do in PDFs, right? If you've already submitted some content, maybe this is a good time to go back and look at what you've done and kind of lay it next to some of the frameworks we've laid out here for you today to make sure each of your touch points are optimized. Okay, that next session, February 9th, from 2 to 3 p.m., we're going to really pull back the curtains on how to drive traffic to and how to work and interact with your virtual visitors. I would encourage you not only register yourself, I would get your entire virtual booth staff on this webinar because we're going to go through rules of engagement, how to use one-to-one chat, how to use group chat, how to get and manage Zoom meetings, all of the inner workings of the platform. So with that, I'm going to take a look in the question queue. While I do, I want to bring Miranda and Stephanie back on for any additional thoughts or maybe anything that I might have missed or not covered.
Yeah, thanks, Jefferson. That was a really great webinar, packed full of really good information. I don't have anything to add right now. Miranda?
No, I just want to add that another great way to be visible within the platform is really take advantage of the sponsorships that we're offering, as well as the free marketing resources that we offer. You know, we offer the free press conferences. We offer, you can purchase attendee lists. We offer things like that, which can be found under the exhibitor tab on our website. So that was really great, Jefferson.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I've got some questions coming in. And hey, by the way, we've got a hard stop at 3, so we have about 7-8 minutes here. If your question is of a really technical nature and it's of a one-to-one, rather than address it live here in the webinar, we are capturing all your questions. Pittcon team will follow up with you personally on that. So don't worry, we will definitely get to your questions. And again, we really welcome all questions. So let's see. Question number 1, if prospects cannot find us during the exhibit and we have to send emails with instructions on how to find us at Pittcon, why wouldn't we just have the call to action in those emails to schedule a Zoom call directly with our rep? You could do that, but if you just schedule directly, then you're not going to be utilizing and optimizing all of the support content that you've built. So if you're just going to send an email and have a Zoom meeting outside of your virtual exhibit, then you're not going to have all this cool support content at your fingertips. I mean, if you build this out right, you've really built a robust, engaged learning experience for your attendees. So why would you go outside and just do Zoom? I don't know. So something to think about. My answer to that is why shouldn't you do that is because of all the additional content that you have at your fingertips. Okay. Let's see. Somebody submitted a question that says the booth grid does not have autoplay or both as an option. I am looking at the Pittcon booth grid right now, and number 7, booth greeting, says choose one. Says on first entry, plays from click action within the booth, or both. So I believe that it does have that on there. That number 7 on first entry or plays from click action within the booth, or both. Okay, unless we're looking at different documents here. Let's see. Should the videos be in MP4 format? Stephanie, what format the videos? Do they upload them to YouTube and provide a link? Is it an MP4? What's the format for videos?
I know there are a couple of options. I know MP4 is one of them. Right off the top of my head here, I'm not sure what the different ones are, but it should outline that within the grid whenever you're uploading videos. Again, that's something, if you want to email me that question, I can get in contact with one of our lab roots people, and they would have all of that specific.
Okay. We'll look into that. Yeah, the different formats, it should say that in the booth assets, your booth grid assets document. Like I'm looking at one here, if it's File format is MP4, 500 megabyte max. It could be an MP4 or from an embed code in YouTube, Vimeo, or Ustream. Okay. So it looks like you can do an MP4, but keep in mind the max file size will be 500 meg. So you'll want to make, you'll want to make sure that you've got that right. Let's see. Okay, we had a question, someone that has left already about, can you talk more about booth discovery? What assets do we need to optimize to get people into the booth? That's going to be your pre-event marketing and your during event marketing, which we're going to talk about in depth on the next webinar. Today's webinar is about optimizing the core functionality of your exhibit. It's not about driving traffic to it yet. So we are going to address that. Okay, let's see. Stephanie, this question may be in your, do we have to get all of this done by January 8th?
So it depends on where you're at in the process. So if you've already signed up or indicated which tier you'd like and you've received your grid, you would have received a deadline along with that grid form and the Dropbox link. So yes, it does depend where you're at in the process. Everybody's deadline is going to be different. You can
Okay.
think once you get your grid, it's about 2 weeks out, and then we kind of move into the next steps.
Okay, thank you. So it does sound like that each of you will have different 2-week development submission windows, and then you'll also have your 2 review periods. So if you've already uploaded stuff and you're going, oh, I learned a whole bunch in here, I need to make some changes, you will be able to do that. Okay, so don't worry about that. Another question is Pittcon powered by LabRoots, and yeah, the virtual exhibit component is LabRoots. So yes, and I've worked with 14 shows now and looked at 10 different platforms, and this is very robust. This is one of the more robust, more customizable platforms I've seen of any event I've done so far, and it's got a lot of functionality that most don't have, so that's cool. Let's see, next question for Tier 4 exhibitors. Stephanie, this may be in your wheelhouse. Do the 3 screens need to be on the right side of the large screen, or can it be customized, and can they move those 3 screens wherever they want to move them?
No, from my understanding with the tier 4s, you have that full customization to move your screens where you would like them to be on the page. As long as you're staying within that safe space that they outlined for you, you should be fine wherever you'd like to put them.
Okay, thank you. So next question is into Zoom meetings. It says, if we use Zoom meeting, does it need to be live or can it be pre-recorded and then watched on demand?
Yeah, that's, I would think you could do either, but we'll have to check with LabRoots on that. That's another good one to email me, or I'll get back to you after this webinar.
Okay, I'll put a tag by these in the question list here for you, Stephanie. Where do we find the video and image size specs for each item? That is in your booth asset, your grid. It's literally in linear numeric order. I'm looking at it right now, and each content upload tells you exactly the format, the size, and all of that. So that is in your booth grid builder. That'll be there. So when you're into there, you'll see what all that is. Stephanie, how long after someone submits their completed booth grid, how long before they get a preview of that review period? What's the time between the two?
So we don't have a ton of people in that stage quite yet. It seems like it's taking LabRoots about a week or 2 to kind of get that content and get the initial build out. So some of the people on should be getting their first draft very soon. I have a couple that are ready that haven't been sent to you yet. But it's not long after you submit the grid that you'll get that first preview back. And then when you get that preview, we'll get the rest of your schedule moving forward as well. whether the first is a kind of a week turnaround and then so on until your kind of final preview of the booth and then a finalized version that's been approved.
Okay. The next question is, what happens? So let's say the large screen and they click on the large screen. Does it only show in that large screen window, or does it go full screen? What happens when they click on these video screens?
Yeah, the way I believe is that so you have your screen and it's an image or that animated GIF, and then you click into it and it would play a video. I believe it kind of zooms in or pops out a little bit to play the video, but I would like to double check on that for you as well.
Okay, that's a good question too. Yeah, that with the video, does it go larger or does it stay within the window size? That's a great question.
I'm gonna
Let's see,
chime
what
in.
else do we have?
I'm gonna chime in.
Yeah.
I do believe that it doesn't get full screen, but I think it expands larger than the little image.
Yeah, because yeah, I believe it pulls forward into the screen
Yeah,
to expand because that's just too small if it doesn't.
yeah.
All right, let's see. Someone was asking what pre-marketing options is Pittcon offering. We're going to go into that in the next webinar in detail. I don't know, Stephanie, Miranda, were there anything that you wanted to share in high level about pre-marketing options today? What?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it before we started the Q&A, but just really looking at each and every sponsorship that we're offering. We're offering a lot of different ones this year, a lot that has to do with program. We have a lot that goes into attendees briefcase. So that's some pre-marketing options, as well as, hosting a press conference, and we will be offering banner ads in the next couple weeks. But like Jefferson said, we will touch on that in the February webinar.
Okay, thank you. We got another question. What if you can't meet that 2-week deadline? What happens if you're just not able to do that?
Yeah, if you're having a lot of difficulty meeting that 2-week deadline, just please send me an email and I'll work with you the best I can. I do want to say it's very important to try to meet these deadlines. I know they're tight. I know it's a lot of information and you want to, make your booth your best, and we want that as well. But we also want to be mindful to LabRoot's schedule and their workload. So please do email me if you have concerns. I'll be more than happy to work with you.
Okay, yeah, so that's the answer. Really try to stay within that 2-week because there's a lot of moving parts to this virtual exhibit. That's why LabRoots has to put these deadlines pretty well ahead in advance, because they have to make sure all your stuff gets up in the proper place, everything's working, and it's pretty complex. But yeah, do the best you can. If you absolutely can't, reach out to Stephanie or Miranda, and they'll help you with that. Okay, well, that is all I'm seeing for questions. So I want to thank everyone. First, Happy New Year, right? 2021, here we are. Get excited about this. Embrace the challenge with this virtual. You've got a really robust platform here. You're getting state of the art in terms of training and how to optimize, drive, and engage. And keep your expectations real. We all know it is very difficult to replace the energy and everything that happens at live Pittcon, but it's out of our control right now. And so do the best you can. Bring your A game. If you follow the ideas that we're teaching over this series of webinars, I think you're going to be in great position to win the game. But just do everything you can and know that we're all here for you to help you in any way you can. You can submit questions at any time. And please be sure to complete the quick survey you'll receive in a few minutes. So any closing thoughts from Pittcon? Miranda, Stephanie, any closing thoughts?
I just want to thank everyone for attending the webinar today. We do offer this, as part of being an exhibitor with Pittcon. We are here to provide you exhibitor education. We just want to let you know, we are doing the best that we can to help you in this new situation. And bear with us because we are new, just as new as you are.
Well said. Yeah, that's been really the case for everybody. It's kind of like we're walking into this and we're all learning as we go. But we're glad that all of you are with us on this journey, and we can't wait to see you on the next webinar. So have a great day. Again, if your question was not answered, you'll get follow-up directly from Pittcon after the webinar, and we will see you on February 9th at the next webinar on how to drive traffic and how to prepare your staff to interact with virtual visitors. Have a great day. Get to work on your booth grid, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.